Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about John Milton's biography and his famous works. So John Milton is regarded as the greatest Puritan poet. He was born in 1608 and he died in 1674, aged 65. He went to St. Paul's School and later he attended Christ College at Cambridge. He devoted himself exclusively to political work and prose writing until the Restoration. In Milton's poetry, there is a nice fusion of elements of both of the Renaissance and the Reformation. So, he is also considered as the child both of the Renaissance and the Reformation. He was a Latin secretary to the Council of State from 1649 and afterwards he was fortunately allowed to end his days in peace. If we talk about Milton's career, his literary work, it could be easily divided into three periods. Up to 1638 was considered as the period of minor poems. From 1639 to 1660, he wrote famous prose tracts and the sonnets. From 1660 to his death, that of the major poems. Now, in the first phase, El Allegro, Il Penseroso, and Lycidas are some of the noteworthy poems which were written before 1639. If you talk about El Allegro, it is a Latin word which means happy or joyful man. So, the poem is written as an excursion into the English fields at sunrise and it highlights the beauty of the morning, which makes a person happy. So, it is a journey of a happy man in the relation of human, and in it, nature is also highlighted. In Il Penseroso, it means thoughtful man. So, in this, the man takes us to the same ground at twilight and moonrise. Although the atmosphere is still fresh, but the gay mood is gone and a quiet thoughtfulness takes the place of it. Both El Allegro and Il Penseroso, they both are written in octosyllabic couplet. Now, the famous masque, Comus, it is the finest masque ever written in which Milton allegorically depicts the endeavor of vice to overcome and and corrupt virtue. It was written in blank verse. It was performed at Ludlow Castle before the Earl of Bridgewater and his friends. In this poem, it is about a person lost. Milton calls in an attendant spirit to protect the wanderer. He has, in this masque, he has followed the tradition of Ben Jonson, and it is also called the Triumph of Virtue. Now, Lycidas. This is a pastoral elegy and it was written in the memory of his college friend Edward King. It is considered as one of the famous pastoral elegies. It is also considered as a poem of pagan Renaissance and it highlights Milton's symbol for removing the vices of church. In this elegy, he has introduced the symbol of Christian shepherd. Now, if we talk about Milton's second phase, that was basically his prose. In the second phase, this period covers Milton's political life up to the year of Restoration, and in this time, Milton wrote famous prose tracts. So, in this prose part, he has in the second period, it is considered as one of the prose interspersed with a few sonnets, and in these prose tracts, the fundamental idea is liberty from a lower law only to come under a higher law. Some of his famous prose tracts are Areopagitica on divorce, Tractate on education. Now, Areopagitica. In this Milton has discussed that the in because in Milton's time there was a law forbidding the publication of the book until they were examined by the official censor, and the censor was more concerned with the bishops and kings than with the delights of literature. So, in this work, Milton has protested against this. The place of public appeal is also famous example in English. It is also known as the freedom of the press. Some of his famous sonnets are on his blindness, on his 23rd birthday, on his deceased wife when the salt was intended to the city, on the late massacre in Piedmont. On his blindness has been prescribed in our courts. This is an autobiographical sonnet, and in this sonnet, Milton writes about his blindness. He became completely blind at the age of 43. So, in this poem, in this sonnet, he considers and he talks about his blindness, he talks about his problems, and ultimately finds the answers. It would be a wonder to consider that after becoming blind, Milton wrote his famous work Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost was written after he became completely blind. So today Milton is regarded greatest because of this work. For the general public, Milton is the poet of Paradise Lost, as Spenser is the poet of the Fairy Queenie. He had already declared his intention of devoting himself to the composition of a great political work. Now, this poem was completed by 1665 and it was published in 1667. So, in Paradise Lost, he has produced one of the greatest English epics. Now, the inspiration and the subject matter of the epic comes from Milton's Puritanism, that is, to assert eternal providence and justify the ways of God to men. It's written in blank verse, and if we talk about the books in a shorter way, we could consider the first book talks about the subject of fall of man, about the introduction of Satan, his rebel angels. There is also description of hell and the formation of pandemonium. In the second book, Milton has discussed about the council of evil spirits, Satan's journey to tempt Adam and Eve, and there is also introduction of sin and death. In the third book, there is a picture of heaven where God sends Raphael to warn Adam and Eve. Now, at the end of this book, Satan appears, who meets Uriel and inquires about the way to the earth. In the fourth book, it takes us to the paradise. We are shown the innocent state of man. Satan is arrested while tempting Eve in a dream, but he is curiously allowed to go free again. Fifth book is about Eve, and she tells about her dream to Adam. Now, Raphael visits them and tells them of the revolt of the fallen spirits. In the sixth book, it is about Raphael's story of fallen spirits. Seventh book is again about Raphael's story about the creation of the world. Eighth book is about Adam telling Raphael the story of his own life and his meeting with Eve. Ninth book is about the temptation of Eve by Satan. Tenth book deals with the divine judgment upon Adam and Eve and Satan's return to pandemonium. Now, in this book, all rebel angels are converted into serpents by God. In the 11th book, the Almighty accepts Adam's repent, but Adam is banished from paradise. So, this information was conveyed to Adam and Eve by Michael, who was also an archangel. Book 12 talks about Michael's vision about destiny of men. Milton has also written Paradise Regained, and this was a total number of 4 books. Actually, it was written on the request of Milton's friend Thomas Elwood. Elwood and it talks about how mankind fell at the first temptation by Satan and was thrown out of paradise, and it also tells about Christ's temptation and his victory. So, so far we have talked about greatest works of Milton, and everyone knows that he is considered as the second great poet of England, and he stands next to Shakespeare. Now, the supreme quality of Milton's poetry is its sublimity. In his poetry, it is intently autobiographical and is in fact the mirror to his own life. And Tennyson has also remarked about Milton. He has quoted that he has quoted the mighty mouthed inventor of harmonious, God gifted organ voice of England. That's it for today. Thank you.